The final days of Nazi Germany marked the collapse of one of history's most infamous regimes and the dramatic conclusion of World War II in Europe. By April 1945, the Third Reich was in ruins. Allied forces were advancing from the west, while the Soviet Red Army encircled Berlin from the east. Amid the destruction, Adolf Hitler and his inner circle withdrew to the Führerbunker, a fortified underground complex beneath the Reich Chancellery, where they faced the inevitable downfall of their empire. The atmosphere during these last days was one of desperation, fear, and denial. Hitler refused to abandon the capital, insisting on remaining in Berlin even as the city was reduced to rubble. His decision trapped many of his closest followers, who clung to him despite the hopeless situation. For the German people, life above ground had become a nightmare of bombardments, shortages, and total military collapse. Two moments capture the chaos of this period. First, the relentless Soviet assault on Berlin, which brought brutal street-to-street fighting and immense civilian suffering, underscored the total defeat of Nazi Germany. Second, the wave of suicides among high-ranking officials and their families revealed the despair gripping those who had tied their fates to Hitler's regime. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister, poisoned his 6 children before taking his own life alongside his wife. These acts of loyalty and desperation epitomized the bunker's grim atmosphere. Historians often point to this collapse as the logical consequence of Nazi ideology itself, built on aggression, fanaticism, and brutality. Hitler's refusal to admit defeat, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, sealed Germany's fate and prolonged suffering for millions. Yet some scholars have debated whether the war could have ended differently had the Nazis sought surrender earlier, suggesting that Hitler's stubbornness ensured not just his own destruction, but that of the nation he claimed to serve. Inside the bunker, the dynamics among Hitler's closest followers revealed a fractured leadership. Some remained loyal until the end, while others abandoned him or sought to save themselves. The claustrophobic space magnified Hitler's paranoia and delusions, as he dictated his final testament and clung to fantasies of armies that no longer existed. The fall of Nazi Germany connects directly to these last days in Berlin. It was here, in the Führerbunker, that Hitler married Eva Braun, dictated his will, and ultimately chose suicide over surrender. Their deaths on April 30th, 1945, symbolized the collapse of the regime. Within days, Germany formally surrendered, ending the war in Europe. The legacy of these final hours is more than just the story of Hitler's demise. It is a stark reminder of how authoritarian power can unravel with extraordinary speed, leaving devastation in its wake. The fall of Berlin not only closed a catastrophic chapter for Germany, but also shaped the post-war world, dividing Europe into East and West and setting the stage for the Cold War. The last days of Nazi Germany remain one of the most haunting episodes of modern history, a story of fanaticism, collapse, and the ultimate futility of tyranny.